I don't really like quoting Karl Marx anymore, because people have done it so much. Even if you're not an avowed communist, it just makes people seem edgy or feel edgy, at least I think. So they quote Marx. But one of the things that I feel Marx was right about was the fulfillment of finding in the products of one's labor a piece of oneself. He gives the example of a chair. If someone makes a chair, man, and if the difference between one man making a chair and a company making chairs, the company making chairs will have division of labor, and each man would himself only do a very small part of the whole job of making the complete chair. And because of that division of labor, the efficiency of the entire enterprise would increase. But Marx noted that because of the division of labor, no one laborer could feel that they had aptly contributed to making a complete manifestation of their labor. So the fulfillment that one gets from making a chair essentially vanishes, even though more chairs than ever will be produced. I feel that is the case with all things in society these days. Businesses are the only way to achieve meaningful economic growth. State centered planning is very difficult to deliver good things unto people. But what is needed is a plan as to how to divide the world and all the labor that is required to sustain economic growth into parts, each of which can be done for the most part by individuals. And the product of the labor of each of these individuals becomes manifest in something complete as an entity, not a part of an entity, but something complete in itself as an entity. Once we can arrange for such divisions, and I think humanity slowly approaches these things anyway, because whatever is happening in the world is happening because people are consenting to it. It's very difficult to force an entire population to do something. They must also want it in some capacity. An entire population cannot be forced to do something. A single individual, even, is very difficult to force into a certain kind of labor. They have to be given the choice between beatings and starvation or whatever it is that the employer or the exploiter can offer as a punishment which they would get if they don't do work. So there always has to be an economic choice placed in front of people. The choice and the thing is that this choice has to be in some ways positively reinforcing. You have to give them some reward. An entire population is very difficult to force into action. That's why if the people don't want to follow something, they will not follow it. They have to they have to feel like they also want to do it in some capacity. Not a lot perhaps, but in some capacity. They must also agree with what is happening. So if we divide the life sustaining labor of society, growth sustaining labor of society, meaningful labor in society into small enough packets that they can be efficiently done by individuals, but in such a way that these small enough packets of labor produce meaningful output, realizable output, in which the people can feel that they have themselves created something of value on its own, not as a part of something much bigger, but as a part, but as a whole in itself. That would be the best kind of society, where all labor would be pleasing labor. The return that we get from it would be happily taken. It's a happy world where everyone does labor, where they feel the products of their labor being realized in entities. Chairs, for instance, whole complete chairs from every worker.